The Biden administration is looking to push more electric vehicles, and there are electric trucks coming to the market for the first time in 2021. And before you go and sign on the bottom line, there are some pros and cons that you really need to know about, because a lot of these electric trucks are making these bold towing claims, but no one's even tested them to have some real numbers of what you're actually buying and how it's going to impact not just the truck range, but your wallet. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lauren Fix. If this is your first time to the channel, we do a lot more than cool car reviews and first looks of new vehicles. We give you car smarts because we believe knowledge is power. Make sure to subscribe and click that little bell so you don't miss anything. Here are some of the new vehicles that you're going to be seeing coming to the lot. The Rivian R1T, about $67,000, and has a 250-mile range. That's coming out in June. The Tesla Cybertruck, which I've discussed before, and you can check that out up here. Prices are expected around $39,500. We're talking late 21 or 22. The Bollinger B2, which we've reviewed when it first came out, it's going to start around $125,000. There's no set time, but sometime in 2021. The Lordstown Endurance pickup for $52,500, coming out sometime in September. You'll see some other vehicles like the Atlis XT for $45,000, that Hummer EV with a lot of excitement. We've also reviewed that as well. You can check that out up here for $80,000. The Ford F150 EV, the Nikola Badger, which we have no prices yet, Fisker Alaska, and the Nissan Titan electric. We'll also see some other brands coming out with vehicles. Before you make a decision and sign on the bottom line, it's important to know the pros and cons and make a decision for yourself. Starting with the pros, reduced emissions. Clean air and global warming have become a sizzling political issue, but note that the batteries in electric vehicles come from rare earth minerals and there's no recycling process. So this is something you got to think about, the total impact of that vehicle over the lifespan of the truck, car, or SUV. Yes, that means no tailpipe emissions, so it is a greener option. Lower cost per mile is obviously something electric vehicles have because it's less expensive for electricity than gasoline, although that may change, especially with this green new initiative going through. The cost of operating an electric truck is around $1.26 a mile, while the cost of owning a diesel heavy-duty vehicle is around $1.51 per mile. Similarly, the cost of maintaining an electric truck is lower than a diesel vehicle, but that's also one of the considerations we are going to discuss. Certainly another pro is these vehicles are quiet, especially if you're in urban areas. There's no noise coming from these engines, and that is a positive. Maintenance is less frequent and less expensive. You will not be changing the oil on these vehicles. That makes sense, but there are moving parts. Tires, wiper blades, bearings, bushings, and other moving parts in those vehicles do need to be maintained and replaced, as in any vehicle. Another pro is tax credits. If you're the original owner of an electric vehicle, car, truck, or SUV, you will earn a tax credit. That is not a check coming in the mail to you, just so you know. That is a credit on your taxes based on how much you make. That tax credit can be as high as $7,500 depending on the make and the model, and also the states are offering somewhere around $1,000 to $2,500 for those EV tax credits. Remember that Tesla and General Motors don't offer a credit any longer, but your state and company may offer one to make it more interesting to you. Another plus is HOV lanes. Some states are offering the usage of HOV or carpool lanes any time of day, even if you're riding alone. And that is very helpful if you live in highly trafficked areas. All of these positives really make people think about owning an electric vehicle. However, there are some cons because nothing is perfect, and electric cars are no exception. The biggest negative is range anxiety. Electric vehicles, including trucks and vans, have this common problem. No matter what the range is, weather can impact that range. And also, if you let the vehicle idle, because these are typically work trucks, and then anxiety can really add up to electric vehicle owners. If you're going to use this vehicle as a work truck, it's really important to note where to refuel or recharge. And that is really important, and also you want that in the shortest possible time. And this is still an issue and a concern with potential electric truck owners. The one thing about buying an electric truck, it's different from that of a car or an SUV. The choices are slimmer, and if you're going to use this as a work truck, you need to have a bed and you need to have that cargo capacity. And so that's going to limit some of the options that are available. Very few manufacturers are producing these EVs that you can get serviced pretty much anywhere where their dealerships are, and that's also an important point if you've got a problem. Insurance costs are a factor that you need to consider. Because of the fact the insurance costs are substantially higher on any electric vehicle, you need to add that into the cost of ownership on your vehicle. And the cost of insuring electric vehicles is also higher because it has to do with replacement value versus a traditional vehicle. So that's going to make a value change as well for you. Availability of charging points. There's currently a limited number of EV charging stations, although more are coming on the market every day, and the government is pushing for at least another 500,000 charging points. But even though more are popping up, the big concern is if you're a truck operator and you need to charge quickly and you can't find one near your site, that is a problem. Also, if there's someone sitting in the charging station and they took off and you have to get to work, that could be an issue that you need to consider. Another factor is the time to charge. Filling up a tank is about 7 to 10 minutes. But if you have to wait for a vehicle to recharge, it's going to take a lot longer. Certainly a lot longer than it takes to fill up a big diesel or gas tank. And that needs to be considered because these charging times are going to take away time you could be making money. The increased cost of an electric vehicle. Now, if you've never shopped for an EV before, you might be looking at some numbers that could give you some sticker shock. When you're looking at the entry-level price, you're looking at somewhere in that $30,000 to $40,000 range. But if you're looking at in comparison to a gasoline-powered or even a diesel vehicle, then you're going to be looking at some big differences because you're looking at luxury vehicles starting around $80,000. And until technology advances and becomes less expensive to produce, consumers can expect to pay between $10,000 and $30,000, maybe as much as $50,000 more to get an electric version of the vehicle of your choice. Here's the bottom line. The current administration wants more electric vehicles and they're going to do whatever they can, and that includes increasing the tax incentive. In other countries, they've tried this. It has helped a little bit, but it doesn't cause consumers to sell the vehicles they have and have only one electric vehicle. If you want to go on a road trip, you're going to need a gasoline-powered vehicle. It helps, but it will not replace all gas and diesel-powered vehicles, no matter how hard the government pushes. Manufacturers are producing electric vehicles in order to meet that corporate average fuel economy known as CAFE standards. As the Fed fines are starting to increase over time, manufacturers are not making any profit on these electric vehicles of any type. And they're in business to make money like any business. And if they're not making money, they're going to be forced to produce cars that don't produce profit. This is only going to hurt the advancement of safety and technology and employment. And you have to think about the fact that the Dow Jones, half of it is impacted by the automotive industry. And that's a huge factor to consider. So before you sign on the bottom line, check with your accountant, look at all the numbers, and make a decision that makes sense for you. Check with your accountant to find out which tax credits apply to you and which ones you are not eligible for. Some companies do not get that, so it's really important to do your homework. And don't forget to check out our all-new website, carcoachreports.com, in English and in Spanish, and we have some new contributors with some really great information. If you got value from this video, give it a like and subscribe for more videos like this one. If I didn't cover something you wanted to know about positives and negatives of electric trucks, put that in the comments down below. We'll start the conversation. If you ask a question, I'll get you an answer. There's all kinds of things going on in the auto industry. Follow me on all forms of social media at LaurenFix to stay on top of best prices and more auto information, because I love to share what's going on so you can save some money. Don't forget to check out our new podcast, Total Car Score. We're having a lot of fun. If you like cars, you will love our podcast. It's on all platforms. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.